9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Jon DiVito Show. We will get going in a minute. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jon DiVito Show. It is about 10 past 11 Eastern time here in Boston, and it is cold. That's what we get at this time of year in the Boston area. I will say cold, but not miserable, which is good. It's about 35 degrees Fahrenheit. We're getting some snow tonight. It looks like we're getting about 2 to 4 inches of snow tonight, which, is good because we really haven't gotten much snow yet. I mean, Massachusetts, we generally get a ton of snow at this time of year. We're in the end of January. The temperatures are cold. It gets dark every day at about 4:30 in the afternoon. We generally get a lot of snow. And right now, when I look out my window, I can see my driveway. I can see our grass. Nothing is really covered, which is great in my book because I am not much of a winter person. I enjoy the summer. I enjoy warm weather. I'm not a guy that really loves the winter, and I guess I'm living in the wrong place, for that to be true. But anyway, things are good here. We're getting towards the end of January, which is always a good thing for me here in Massachusetts because, we still have quite a few, months of cold weather here. I mean, the weather here in February is very cold, and sometimes we get our most severe weather during the month of February. I remember about 10 years ago, that was the year in my area where we literally got 10 feet of snow, and most of that snow came during the month of February. We literally had one nor'easter snowstorm after another that came barreling up the coast and kept hitting New England. And that was a year where it was just amazing how much we got. I mean, I had never seen this much snow in my area. We had to have the roofs of our house shoveled off because we were afraid that the roofs were going to collapse under the weight of the snow. So we had to have a company come out and do that. Cost us a fortune to have our roof shoveled off. But it got to be the point where the snow piles were so high, my two youngest children were actually climbing up on the roof of the house and they were sledding off of the roof onto the snow piles. It was just absolutely amazing. And maybe what I'll do is I get to go find some of these pictures. If you guys follow me on Twitter, check out my Twitter page for Jon DiVito, the Jon DiVito Show, and I'll post some of the pictures of that winter where we just had an amazing amount of snow. And literally one of our doors by our back deck, our back porch, was covered 3/4 of the way up with snow. Like you could not open that door and get out. It was amazing. So I see Daniel is from Brazil. Oh, I'm jealous, Daniel. I've always wanted to go to Brazil. So he says you should live in Brazil then. We have summer in February and it's so hot. Oh, that sounds good to me. I would love to visit Brazil. I heard Brazil is a beautiful country. I've lived my entire life in the United States. I grew up in New Hampshire. Now I live near Boston. So I've always lived in a cold climate. And, for me, every year that first snowstorm is kind of exciting. It's kind of neat when it snows for the first time. But then after it snowed like 30 times and it's like minus 20 degrees out, at that point I've kind of had it. But this winter, fortunately hasn't been too bad so far. We've been kind of fortunate where the weather has been, relatively warm. We haven't had that much snow, but I'm still waiting for the hammer to hit us. I think this year we're going to get into one of those patterns where the storms come up the coast In New England, they call them nor'easters. So it's actually N-O-R''Easters. It's supposed to be northeasters, but New Englanders say nor'easters. So they're big hurricanes that literally come up the coast. And once we get into that specific wet weather pattern, one after another just comes up the coast and pounds New England and just buries us in snow. So I'm sure that's going to probably happen again this year. And if it does, it does. There's nothing we can do about it. But that one winter we literally had the National Guard came into our town, and they were plowing the snow and putting it into big dump trucks and taking the snow away and dumping the snow in the ocean because there was literally no place left to put it. So that was a winter I'll never forget. And I'm hoping we don't get a repeat this year because I'm kind of looking forward now. I'm looking forward onto the spring. I'm looking forward at the summer. I'm hoping that we have a nice, warm summer this year. And, I'm thinking forward on some of the summer plans that I'm going to have coming up here in New England. So, I've got a lot of things I want to talk about today. I'm going to be reading some weird news today. I read some weird news stories, which I thought were kind of funny, but we're going to talk a little bit about the winter, which we've already talked about. Coming up in February, we've got Valentine's Day, which quite frankly, I think is kind of a silly holiday, but we'll talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about the Super Bowl coming up. We've got Brady versus Mahomes. Are you going to be having a Super Bowl party at your house this year? If so, what do you serve? We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about also, I don't want to really talk about COVID because I think we're all done with COVID, but I want to talk about some of the things maybe that we haven't missed during the COVID shutdown. There are some that I definitely have not missed. So we'll kind of talk about that a little bit, fun summer activities, and then maybe even some stressful things that you maybe do during the summer that you don't enjoy. And I have a couple that are directly related to vacations that we can talk about. So, it's like I said, cold day in New England. It is what it is. We've got spring coming up, and I'm kind of excited about the Super Bowl. I'm not sure if there are any football fans out there, but being from New England, we are New England Patriots fans. And for many years, I was a Tom Brady fan. So I've always enjoyed watching Tom Brady play football. In my opinion, he's one of the greatest of all time. And I see Daniel mentioning in Brazil, we celebrate Valentine's Day on June 12th. That's amazing. So I didn't realize that it was celebrated at different times of the year. We'll get back to football in a second. We celebrate Valentine's Day on February 14th here. That's the Valentine's Day in the United States. And, I'm sure it's pretty similar to what it is there. But really, in my opinion, Valentine's Day is something where it's kind of just like a commercial type of, holiday where you end up spending money on cards and chocolate and presents for your spouse. And it's kind of funny that my wife and I, neither one of us like Valentine's Day, even though our first date was actually on Valentine's Day. So believe it or not, I met my wife back, God, I don't know how long ago now. I met her when I was 30. So that's like 23 years ago. I met my wife. We met at a bar in Boston. Basically we went someplace to watch college hockey, which I don't even like hockey, but I was dragged to this event and I ended up meeting my wife at that event. And it was funny. We met on February 2nd. So we talked a couple times on the phone. We realized that we had some stuff in common. So we set a date for the following Saturday. And leading up to that Saturday, neither one of us really realized that Saturday was Valentine's Day. So I think probably 3 days before Valentine's Day, I called my, this girl who's now my wife and said, I don't know if you realize, but we're scheduled to go out on Saturday. That's Valentine's Day. Is that like weird for you or like a problem for you? And she was like, nah, I don't care. So we ended up, our first date was on Valentine's Day. And we went out, had a couple of drinks, went out, had a good time. And obviously it worked out since we're now married for 20 something years and we've got 4 kids. But we really, as a couple, don't really celebrate Valentine's Day very much. I mean, we may get each other a card. We have 4 kids, so we may get them something for Valentine's Day. But it's not like we really go out and do anything special, for Valentine's Day when we probably should, I guess, So how about, for, the people that are in the live right now, do you all celebrate Valentine's Day? Now, Daniel, I see that in Brazil, you have it in June. I mean, is Valentine's Day something that's really celebrated in Brazil? And for the other people that are listening, do you actively celebrate Valentine's Day, or do you think it's just one of those commercial holidays where, so that's nice. So I see Saturday Night Smoke saying that you go out to dinner every Valentine's Day. See, that's nice. My wife and I should do more of that. I think one of the reasons why we decided maybe not to go out as much on Valentine's Day. And I wouldn't say we actually decided, but we had 4 kids and they were all very young at one time together. At one point, we had 4 kids, I think, under 7, which was kind of crazy. So it was almost impossible for us to ever go out. And, you know, if we hired a babysitter, the babysitter would be like borderline dead by the time we came home after dealing with our 4 small children. So I guess we got into the habit of not doing anything. Maybe this year we need to change that. I mean, we've had the COVID shutdowns. You know, maybe my wife and I need to plan this year for Valentine's Day to go out to dinner, have a nice time, the 2 of us. Hey, Swinging in the Rockies, welcome, and welcome to everybody coming in. Tell you what, you know, I'm just going to kind of mention again what I said in the beginning. We're going to have kind of a light show today, talking about, you know, I talked about the weather in Boston. Right now, we're talking about Valentine's Day. Is it something that is important in your life? Do you celebrate it? If you do, I'd love to hear what you do for Valentine's Day. We're going to talk Super Bowl, you know, Super Bowl parties, things you haven't missed during the shutdown. Do you have any fun summer plans coming up? And then also maybe even like stressful vacation activities. That was something I was thinking about that was kind of easy and kind of funny. And I might read some weird news stories also. I found a site that has some pretty crazy news stories that I might read. But, you know, for me, Valentine's Day, I guess, should mean more to me. But I guess I always get caught up in the fact where I feel like it's a commercial holiday where it's out there just for money. But now, Daniel, in Brazil, now you're celebrating the summer right now. So does it get really cold in Brazil in the winter? Probably not, right? I mean, you're fairly close to the equator. So I imagine even in the winter, Brazil is probably relatively warm, I would think, right? So I'm not sure, but that would be my guess. So, hey, welcome to everybody that's coming in. I greatly appreciate it. We were just talking about Valentine's Day. You know, do you have plans? Will you be doing something? Our daughter's birthday is also February 14th. Nice. And we usually celebrate that on the weekend before. That's pretty nice. So your daughter's birthday was actually on February 14th. See, that's a cool date to have a birthday. You know, I've got 4 kids. My third is Ethan, and his birthday is actually September 11th. So it's not something that he really even likes. He gets kind of frustrated that his birthday is on 9/11, one of the biggest tragedies in American history. But see, February 14th, that's kind of a cool birthday to have. So I kind of like that, you know, a Valentine's Day birthday. So, you know, I guess from my perspective, you know, maybe my wife and I need to make more of an effort where, you know, our first date was on Valentine's Day. So we should get out there and go to dinner. So I feel like she gets ripped off. That's true too. See, now I can speak on that Saturday Night Smoke. You know, my birthday is January 2nd. Hey, Chef Tom, welcome to the show. My birthday is January 2nd. So I always got robbed at Christmas time and my birthday because, you know, my birthday happened on January 2nd. We had Christmas on the 25th, obviously. So I never got presents. And hey, Eric, thanks for coming in. Jess and Dina Joe. I had to start a little early. I had something pop up at 1 o'clock for work. So we're just going to have a light show today, talk about some fun things. And so far we've been talking about the weather in Boston, Valentine's Day. You know, for the people coming in now, do you celebrate Valentine's Day? Do you do a lot with your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend? Or is it one of those days where you really don't pay much attention to it? As I was saying to the group that was in earlier, you know, my wife and I don't generally do a lot, even though our first date was actually on Valentine's Day. And I think what we need to do this year is we need to make an attempt to get together on Valentine's Day, have a date, and just get away from, you know, our children and kind of have one of those nights out. I mean, you know, our kids are older now. My oldest son, Matt, is now 18 years old. My daughter's 15. My third's 14. And then my youngest is 12. So there's no reason why we can't go out and enjoy a night out. I think we're going to do that this year. We're going to find a restaurant. I'll get out of my COVID shorts that I've been wearing now for like 10 months, maybe put on something decent, and we'll go out for a nice dinner. Yeah, you know, Valentine, I kind of get that, Jess. I mean, there was a long period of time where I was single, and I hated Valentine's Day when I was single. You know, it just wasn't something I enjoyed. And even now as a married person, I don't know. It's never been a big thing for me. I'm going to try to maybe do better this year. I don't know. But my wife's kind of the same way. We're both kind of in the same boat. But that's what we got to do. You're right. We need to make a reservation now. And, you know, there's a restaurant that's near our house that's pretty cool. It's called the Black and White Restaurant. And it's nothing fancy. It's a little family restaurant that we like to go to that's only about, 15 minutes from my house. Hey, Mr. A. And they have those orbs. Have you seen those kind of like inflatable orbs outside because, here in Massachusetts, it's very cold and outdoor dining is pretty tough unless you have heat outside. So they have these orbs outside. And we were talking about, we would love to go to eat and actually have one of those outdoor orbs. Even if it wasn't COVID, I think that they should keep these every winter and allow people to go and sit and eat outside, because we would totally do that. And it looks pretty cool. So maybe we'll try to call that place and see if we can get a reservation. So, hey, other things we have on the docket today, I want to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl, things you haven't missed during the shutdown. Do you have any fun summer activities coming up? What are your vacation plans this summer? Now, let's all assume that COVID's going to be gone so we can enjoy our summers like we used to. So I'm thinking fun summer activities. And then how about even stressful things that happen on vacation? And I'll be talking about a couple of those that I deal with every year. And I'll give you one right now, actually. All right. I'm going to jump ahead. And for me, for many years, my family had a small condominium up on a lake in New Hampshire, a very nice lake called Lake Winnipesaukee. If you're not familiar with that lake, you can Google it. It's the largest lake in New England, and it's a really nice lake. And you've got, a lot of famous people have big homes on this lake, and we certainly couldn't afford anything like that. So we had scooped up a small condo that was close to the lake. And we used it when the kids were small, and we ended up selling it a couple of years ago. So one of the things we did is we ended up joining a boat club. Now, we did not own a boat, but we joined a boat club, and you could pick from like 6 boats. You had to reserve them, for certain days. I think you could make, 4 reservations at once. And we used to love going out on the lake in a boat. I mean, Winnipesaukee for New England, it's not big like the Great Lakes, but it's a big lake, and you've got big waves. You get a lot of weather out there, and it took a little bit of time for me to get used to boating on such a big lake. You have to learn the markers. We had binoculars where you had to literally look for markers so you knew where you were on the lake, because Lake Winnipesaukee, if you look at it on a map, it's not really designed in a big oval or circle. Lake Winnipesaukee is more like almost like a lobster, I think it looks like. So it's got all these little coves and different places where you can go, and it's really easy to get lost on the lake. But now the navigation of me being out on the lake wasn't the problem. The one thing I always despised doing was docking my boat. Are there any boaters out there? Are there any people out there that, sail on a lake, use a motorboat on a lake or on the ocean? You take in New England, they give you like a test to, understand the rules of driving on a lake, driving a boat, but they don't give you any actual on lake experience. So basically you get your boat license up here in New England, and then you end up, okay, best of luck, go out and hit that boat. Yes, Mr. A. That's what I used to drive most of the time. And now I had so many bad docking experiences. There was one time I was pulling in for gas up at Lake Winnipesaukee in one of the areas where you picked up gas. It's like pulling into a gas station just on a boat. And I hit one of the giant wooden posts that they have in the lake and took a huge chunk out of the wooden post and dented the boat, of course. So that cost me money. But I had so many bad docking experiences on Lake Winnipesaukee. But probably the funniest one I had was this past summer, actually. Now, this was not on Lake Winnipesaukee. We went on a vacation with my family to Rangeley, Maine, which is about, I think, 6 hours north of where I live now. And there's a lake, get ready for this one, a lake called Lake Mooselook-Maguntic up in Maine. Beautiful lake out in the middle of nowhere. Just gorgeous. You see moose and deer and all kinds of animals up here. It's just beautiful. So we decided to rent a boat for a day and take it out with the family on Mooselook-Maguntic Lake. Okay. So actually we did it 2 days, I think, back to back. So the first day I went out, I take the boat out and, no problems all day. And the docking was actually pretty easy. It wasn't where you had to drive into a marina and like pull into a space. Those are really difficult. This was, you just kind of come up to the dock and slide it in sideways, and you end up, tying the boat up, and it's pretty easy. So I was, going into dock at the end of the day. We had a great day out on the lake. The kids were tubing, just had a blast. So I pulled in kind of like parallel to the dock. And the guy that owns this resort actually has a lake plane also. So the lake plane was parked on the edge of the dock, but it was kind of like quite a ways. So I kind of pull up relatively close to the plane, and I was going to, just pull right up into the dock. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to be, this is going to be legendary. I'm going to go in, just kind of kiss that deck, step right off, and that dock, and it's going to be just a legendary docking experience. Well, I'm pulling in and I'm ready to nail the docking. All of a sudden, crash. I'm like, what was that? I look up, the top of the pontoon boat hit the wing of the plane. So I literally got I got the pontoon boat stuck on the wing of an airplane coming into the dock. And my kids are like laughing at me. And of course, at that point, I'm not happy because I thought I was going to stick, the docking, and I ended up not hitting the dock and not hitting another boat, but I hit an airplane. So I literally had to give the steering wheel to one of my kids. I had to like push off from the airplane. There's like 10 people on the dock watching me. They all saw me hit the airplane. And oh my God, it was so funny. So finally I got it off. I didn't do any damage, right? Who can say that they hit an airplane when they were docking a boat? So anyway, I finally got in and, nailed it. So the next day I took the boat out again, was aware that the wing was sticking out further than the airplane itself was. So the next day I actually nailed my docking and did not hit the plane, but that was kind of a funny story. So that's, that's for me. I love going to the lakes in the summer. I love going to the ocean in the summer. Probably the one thing that stresses me out about vacation is having to dock a boat. Literally, I think about it all day when I'm out on the lake, and I've gotten better at it, but I'm still not good at it, And I think that it takes a special type of person that has spent, just years and years and years on a lake to be able to dock it well. Like I've seen some guys where they literally just pull up to the dock. They come in at 30 miles an hour. They flip that boat around, spin it around, and step right off the boat, and they're just professionals. So I haven't gotten to that level yet. The other thing I think that stresses me out about summer vacations is, now we are a family that since we sold our condo up in New Hampshire, we bought a camper. So, I think our camper is, if I remember correctly, I think it's 37 feet long. So it's pretty big. And we've got 4 kids. It's got a bedroom with double bunks in it. So it's really a big camper. And I tow it with my Ford Expedition, my SUV. And towing, it's not a problem. I'm perfectly comfortable, getting it. I get it on the hitch by myself. I can set it all up. I can drive it myself. But then backing the camper up into a spot is not a good thing for me. For whatever reason, I don't understand the correct way to turn the steering wheel. And, people have told me 100 times you have to hold the steering wheel a certain way, turn it a certain way, and then the back of the camper goes in a certain direction. It literally takes me like 20 times to get my camper in the right spot when I try to back it up. So those are 2 things for me, man. I'm not good at docking boats. I'm not good at backing up a camper. It's just one of those things that, I don't know, that kind of stress me out during summer vacations. But how about the rest of you? Now, we've been stuck with COVID. I know we're all tired of talking about COVID, but we've got, the vaccines are out now, and we're all hopeful that maybe these vaccines are going to work. My wife actually got her first shot of the Moderna vaccine, and the only side effect she had was a sore arm. But she is getting her second shot next week. So, we're hoping maybe with the vaccines, things are going to get better. And maybe this summer we'll be able to go back to our regular activities. So does anyone have any vacation plans? Where are you all going to go this summer? Are you going to go, any place warm? Are you going to be staying close to home? Do you go to a lake? Do you go to the ocean? Do you like going to amusement parks? There are so many things that we haven't done over the last year. My family with 4 kids, we love going to Six Flags, the amusement park. We have a season pass, and we go there every year, several times a year. And with the Six Flags near my house, not only do they have the Daredevil rides that I'm not as much into anymore, but Six Flags, the one we go to in Massachusetts, has a gigantic water park. So, this water park is bigger than any water park in New England, and it's part of the Six Flags. So we end up going there, we do a few rides, and then I just go chill at the water park all day. And we end up, chilling and hanging by the water and doing that type of thing. So how about you, Eric? Do you take any vacations in the summer at all? Or you just kind of stay around home, or what do you do?
I tend to be a homebody most of the time. I don't really get to do a lot of long distance traveling. I had season passes purchased at the end of 2019 to go to my Six Flags park, but I haven't been able to go during 2020. But I don't know whether they would honor the 2020 season passes for this year or not.
Yes, I actually got it. Now, again, I assume that Six Flags corporate does this for all people that have passes, but we have season passes also. And we got an email that at least Six Flags in Massachusetts is going to be honoring the 2020 season pass for 2021. So hopefully you get the same deal that we got. We got an email about that saying that they are going to honor that. I mean, again, we spent pretty good money, for my family buying 6 season passes. We didn't get to use them once. So I'm hoping that, we will get to use them this upcoming year. But are you a guy that likes roller coasters, Eric? Are you a big roller coaster guy?
I mean, I can handle riding like those thrill rides there. I like to go to my Six Flags park. I like their Mindbender ride there. Haven't even gotten to ride Twisted Cyclone yet. I've been on the Aquaphobia and Sky Swimmer rides like a few times in the Superman and Batman ride we have. And I like the Log Jamboree and the Monster Mansion rides there as well.
Nice. Yeah, they just did at the Six Flags in Massachusetts. They put up a new Harley Quinn ride, which I haven't gone on yet. I was going to go on it New Year's Eve, actually, 2019. We went to Six Flags with some friends. And that night, I finally made the decision that I was going to go on that ride, and then everyone decided they wanted to leave, so I didn't get to go on it. But I was planning on going that this year. But my favorite ride at the Six Flags in New England is they have a Joker ride, which I love. It's a roller coaster, and
it's a fourth dimension style ride. Yeah, but like our Six Flags park here in Georgia, they are really lacking like a good launch coaster ride, but I remember at one time, a long time ago, when they used to have like a back entrance, but they closed that off in the late 90s to where they could do park expansion. And recently they put like a pandemonium ride there that's kind of like a frisbee style ride that swings back and forth and it can spin you in both directions. But I think they have enough room in there if they wanted to add a launch coaster. And then the Splashwater Falls area, that would be probably ideal for a compact size ride or maybe even a spinning coaster at some point.
Nice. Hey, Cummings, I see your comment down there. Now, did you realize I was just watching The Wolf of Wall Street the other day with Leonardo DiCaprio, and I didn't realize that his wife in that was actually Harley Quinn. So I went back and saw that the other day and kind of put 2 and 2 together. But yeah, so she's pretty attractive out of the Harley Quinn costume. Not that she wasn't attractive in the Harley Quinn costume, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed the first Harley Quinn movie. I didn't like the Birds of Prey one as much. I did see that with my kids and didn't really like that one quite as much. But yeah, we're a big amusement park family. One amusement park that I went to years ago that I really enjoyed. If there's anybody in here from Ohio, I'm sure you're very well aware of Cedar Point in Ohio. I went to that roller coaster. I mean, that park probably, I don't even know, 15 years ago. And they had like 8 or 9 roller coasters at this amusement park. And they were all just gigantic. There was one, I think, called the Magnum. And it was like a 310-foot drop. And I remember doing that roller coaster. And I'm kind of a roller coaster guy, but I remember getting to the front of the line going, okay, I don't know if I want to do this one. It was huge, how high this thing was. And it was just crazy, But roller coasters to me are fun. And I don't handle it as well as I used to anymore, because I kind of get sick when I go on too many roller coasters now. As you get older, that tends to happen, but
like our friend Slightly Serious, he'll basically say Slightly doesn't do thrill rides, but his other half, Big Sexy, will do them.
I love that. His other half. That's so funny. So, all right, listen, we're talking a little bit about summer vacations. For me, one of the things that we missed last year this was so disappointing, is we were supposed to go to California. Now, for a lot of you that know, my son Matt wants to be an actor. He's my oldest son that has autism. He's been in 10 plays, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about it a bunch of different times. Well, he wants to go to California. So we had a trip booked last year to go to Los Angeles. And because of COVID, we had to cancel. So we ended up in Maine and we made the best of it. And we had a great vacation. But maybe this summer we'll finally get to schedule that California vacation and let my son see, Hollywood and all that type of thing. And now I know I talked about this also, Eric. It's getting close. I've been getting a lot of emails from the casting director at Netflix. My son, Matt, and I are going to be in a movie called Don't Look Up. We have to go in for our COVID test on February 4th. And Matt and I are both going to be on set on February 8th. And we're going to be at a fictional store called a Calmart. So it's going to be like a Walmart. And Matt and I are going to be shoppers. But we're going to be in a scene with only 8 other shoppers. And then Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, and Timothy Chalamet. So My son Matt, as you can imagine, is thrilled. He cannot wait to actually get out and do this. So we're really looking forward to this. Hey, Dennis, thanks for the love. I appreciate that, brother. Oh, yeah, Dean and Joe, we're so excited. I mean, Matt is so excited because, he was supposed to be in this movie back in November, and he tested positive for COVID a week before the shoot, and they canceled him, unfortunately. But I got to tell you that the casting director, for those of you that haven't heard her name is Judith Boulay. She is the casting director for Netflix. She is the kindest, nicest woman. She called my house at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. She FaceTimed with Matt for 20 minutes. She talked to me. She talked to my wife. She talked to all my other children. And she was just wonderful, talking about she has gone out of her way to try to help my son get into this movie. And I mean, for a woman in her position, she lives in LA. She's got a big job as a casting director for Netflix. She was talking about getting home to the West Coast, and she's had 2 days off since like September, working on this movie. But she has gone out of her way to help my son. And I mean, it's so nice to see kind people that have big jobs that are willing to help people. And I remember that name, Judith Boulay, Netflix, great woman, and she has gone over and above to make a difference in my son's life. So, there are good people out there, and good people that have powerful jobs that are willing to do things, for children and things like that. So definitely she gets, of course, I don't have my applause button up. You know what? She deserves a little applause. Hold on a second here. I got like 3 pages of sounds on my soundboard here. So where's my applause? We're going to give her a little applause. There it is. All right. That's for Judith Boulay at Netflix casting. And this applause lasts for like ever. Well, that was actually the short one of the sound effects. Lasts for like a minute. So let's talk football a little bit. And we were talking about vacation. I see someone mention Panama Beach. Oh, Mr. A, Panama Beach. That sounds nice. Wow. Now, how far is Panama Beach away from where you are? That I'm trying to think of where that is in relation to where you live. That sounds like it's a pretty good distance. So that sounds like a nice vacation, though. Oh, yeah, Dennis Lee, great experience. Cummings, absolutely. We're thrilled that Matt's going to get the experience. But now, is anybody excited for the Super Bowl? I don't want to talk too long about football, but I want to talk a little bit about football, and more important, not about the game itself, but about Super Bowl parties and the food that you like to have at Super Bowl, parties. But I mean, this should be a good Super Bowl. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady going up against Kansas City and Philip Mahomes. So I'd like to see in the chat, for the people that are in here, who do you think is going to win? Do you think the Bucs are going to win, or are the Chiefs going to win? What do you think, Eric?
I'm thinking the Bucs, along with Crazy Kane. We even had this question on Slightly Show last night. Me and Slightly and Pertwee are, going for the Bucs, but Lady Me, on the other hand, is going for the Chiefs.
Well, I mean, this is the way I look at it. I put a poll up on Twitter last night. It's still there. So if you want to get on and vote, go ahead and vote. But I put up a poll, just who's going to win the Super Bowl, the Bucs or the Chiefs. And I think the Chiefs had the lead in the poll last night, the last time I checked it. I'm not sure where it is today. And, I get it. I mean, the Chiefs are a great football team. Mahomes is a great quarterback. He is definitely the best young quarterback in the NFL right now. But one of the things I think people are forgetting is that Tom Brady factor. I mean, whatever it is about Tom Brady, he finds a way to win big games. I've never seen a guy in football that finds a way to step up in the big moments of big games and finds a way for his team to win the game. So personally, I think Brady's going to be tough to beat. And don't forget now, this game is also going to be in Tampa Bay. So this is almost going to be like a home game.
Oh, yeah.
For the Buccaneers. Now, what I'm wondering also now, Florida has been a little bit more laxed on the COVID restrictions than some of the other states, in the country. You have to wonder, are they going to let the fans fill up that stadium? Are there going to be regulations, or are we going to see a full stadium for the Super Bowl? Is that what they're saying? 21,000. So that's a pretty good sized crowd. So they're going to be kind of packing in that stadium coming up. So that's interesting to see. Let's see. I see Dennis Lee. Yeah, you know what, Dennis? I actually picked Buffalo also. I was hoping for Josh Allen to win, and Mahomes, I was thinking that Mahomes was going to have some fallout from that concussion or that neck injury or whatever it was, but he really didn't. Josh Allen's a good young quarterback. and I think he's got a great future ahead of him. But I think that their team in that game anyway was just outclassed by a better team. But I definitely also picked Buffalo as well. I was kind of hoping they would make it to the Super Bowl. But for my pick, I think Tom Brady. I think he's going to do it again. I think he's going to win his 7th Super Bowl. Mahomes, though, you can't count the guy out. He's a great young quarterback, and he's already been in big games, so I don't think he's going to buckle under the pressure. It's probably going to be one of those typical games that Brady plays in, where they're close right up until the end, and he never is in a blowout in the Super Bowl. It's always like a heart attack type of game. So I imagine we're going to probably have another one of those games coming up. But now with COVID, is anybody out there? Are you going to have Super Bowl parties? And if you're not going to have a Super Bowl party, in years past, when you go to Super Bowl parties or when you've hosted Super Bowl parties, what's your favorite food at a Super Bowl party? How about you, Eric? Have you been to a Super Bowl party? And if so, what type of food?
I've never really been to a Super Bowl party with friends. I know I don't really watch too much football on TV, right. but I know it's been about 4 years since Atlanta went to the Super Bowl. I know your common Super Bowl foods like it could be like chicken tenders or buffalo wings or pizza or what have you.
Yeah, I think my favorite Super Bowl party food is probably a big plate of nachos. I've always loved nachos, and a good big plate of nachos is always something that I enjoy, and I like spicy nachos. So that's something that's one of my favorites. Yeah, but buffalo wings I do like, but I prefer boneless buffalo wings. I don't like the wings that have the bones in them. I prefer it boneless. And, for me, I haven't been to a Super Bowl party in a couple of years either, because we're kind of hermits, my family. We don't go to that many parties. But, oh, yeah, Dennis Lee. I mean, nachos, you can't go wrong with nachos. Those are one of my absolute favorites. And I think that's always a staple of, being in a Super Bowl party. You got to have a good plate of nachos, or several good plates of nachos, depending on how many people are going to be, at that party. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, in years past, I've watched Super Bowls when the Patriots have been in the Super Bowl, but a lot of times I won't watch the game if my team's not in it. But this is one of those years where, in New England, I couldn't be happier for Tom Brady. There's a lot of people up here that are very angry at Tom Brady. There are a lot of people up here in New England that say he's a traitor, that say that, he kind of dumped on the organization. But what I've said to people up here is, what was he supposed to do? Tom Brady has made it clear that from the time he was in his mid-30s that he wanted to play until he was 45 years old if he was healthy. The Patriots hadn't given him any weapons, so he had no good receivers. And on top of it, they didn't offer him a contract last year. So, Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft made it very clear that they didn't want Tom Brady back. And, what did they do? They let him walk away. And he went to an organization that, the coaching maybe isn't as good, but they've got, several very good receivers. You've got Godwin, you've got Mike Evans, you've got Antonio Brown when he's healthy. You've got Fournette, the running back, who's a bulldog. I think probably the weakest part of the Tampa Bay team is the offensive line when they're pass blocking. When they run block, they're pretty solid. But a lot of times they don't give Brady enough time to throw the ball. But I don't understand the mindset up here where people are angry that Brady left. For me, I'm first and foremost a Patriots fan. I always will be. I have been from back in the day when they were like the New York Jets. They were the worst team in football. I've always been a Patriots fan through the bad and the good, and I will continue to do so. But I can't turn my back on a guy that was here for 20 years and won 6 Super Bowls. He's the greatest player in the history of the game. And, I'm thrilled that we had him for the time that we did. So, it is what it is, but there are a lot of angry people up here, but then there are people like me that support Brady. So I'm hoping he wins. I'd like to see him win another ring. Mahomes has got a lot of time, I think, left in the NFL, and we'll just kind of see, where he goes moving forward. But I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's got more upside than Lamar Jackson. You look at Lamar Jackson, he almost reminds me of like a Cam Newton, where he runs well, but he can't throw the ball. So I think his future is kind of limited in the NFL. But Mahomes is probably going to be one of those guys that wins, who knows, 3, 4, 5, 7 Super Bowls, over the course of his career. So I don't know, but we'll see where the game goes. We'll see where everything goes moving forward. Hey, is that Chris coming in? If so, I see the VCR name coming.
Yep.
Welcome to the show, Chris. Good to see you.
I know you're going to be on again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time.
I am.
Assuming nothing changes.
I'm going to try to do some more regular shows. I've just been super busy with work. And today I was actually going to do it 11:30, and then something popped up for me at 1 o'clock that I have to attend to. So I've got to leave at 12:30 to get to that. But, one of the other things I wanted to talk about today, we've talked about so far, the weather in Boston. We're going to get a little bit of snow tonight, but it's been pretty nice so far. We talked about Valentine's Day. We talked about the Super Bowl. Are you having a party? What type of food are you going to have? One of the things we haven't talked about yet is, are there any things during this COVID shutdown that you haven't missed? Like, there have been a lot of things we've lost. We've lost vacation plans. Some people have lost jobs. We've lost the ability to go to restaurants and spend time with our friends and family over the holidays. But what are some things that you do not miss at all? I just kind of wonder if anybody has. I mean, for me, a couple of things I haven't missed is I don't miss commuting. With my job, I generally drive a lot. Like, I get in my car and I may drive to Buffalo, New York. I may drive to Providence, Rhode Island, to New Haven, Connecticut, to Portland, Maine. So I'm all over the place. And I probably drive in a good year, probably,
see you later, Kane.
30,000 miles. Hey, hey, Kane, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm glad you stopped in. VCR. Yeah, I wish I could have stayed in your show a little bit longer last night. I did like the show while I was in. And I'm going to try to get in there a little bit more often the more you have your shows. So I think it's great that you're doing shows now. But has anybody else not missed anything? Like, I don't miss the commute, number one, during COVID, and I don't miss dressing up nice for work. I'm a guy that likes to be casual. So right now I'm in my shorts. I have a t-shirt on. I do have a jacket on over my t-shirt, and I have slippers on. So that's how I'm dressed right now. And I've been leaving the house this way. I literally go into stores like wearing my slippers and wearing shorts in the middle of January in Massachusetts, which is kind of funny. So, but there are some things that once we get back to normal life, I guess, that I'm not gonna, miss some of these things like the commuting time and everything. I mean, right now I've been doing all Zoom meetings, and it's kind of nice just to log on to that Zoom meeting, do the things that you need to do without having to travel and stay in a hotel and do all these different things I've had to do, over the years. So I don't know. How about you, Eric? Do you have any things that you don't miss about COVID? I mean, I don't know how much your life has changed between COVID and not COVID. I know that you like going to trivia, but you've been able to do that. Are there any things that you don't miss at all that you hope stay away after COVID's over?
There's not really a whole lot I can think about that I don't miss, but I know that not being the thing. But the thing about COVID is not being able to get out and enjoy life like we used to before the pandemic got so bad, and how it messed up a lot of things about politics and society and whatnot.
It's been a rough year. It really has. I mean, people have been in each other's throats over everything, and I'm hoping maybe we get back to normal at some point. And I mean, the good news is here we are. We're almost into February. I mean, the vaccines are out. I know not everybody wants to take a vaccine, but they are available for people that want to take them. And you look at certain states, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C. I saw this morning that California just loosened their restrictions on people because COVID cases are going down. So maybe we finally have gotten through, or we're starting to get through this big second wave of cases, and maybe we're finally almost done with this thing. And I think for me, it's going to be such a great thing when I can go out without having to wear a mask and just resume the things that I do on a day-to-day basis. I think it's going to feel great for everybody. And hopefully it happens by that's what I'm hopeful for,
Thanks for the coffees from VCR and from Dennis. And speaking of Dennis Lee, tomorrow is his birthday, and friends of the Jon DiVito Show and friends of a few other podcast shows, including Ralph William and The Old Man in the Mornings and Slightly Serious Tonight. I would certainly like to extend friends here on Podbean and VOP Empire an invitation to come to Trice Talk tomorrow night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, because we would like to fill the live cast for Dennis's birthday and make it a Trice Talk episode to remember.
Now, how old is Dennis going to be? It's his birthday. So how old are you going to be, Dennis? I don't know if you want to do that.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, 50. So that's a big one. That's a big one.
Yep.
How do you feel about turning 50? How do you feel about it? I can tell you how I felt about it because I'm past that now, unfortunately. I'm now 53, and I'm heading towards 60, which absolutely scares the hell out of me. But, my feeling on turning 50 was this. It wasn't the end of the world. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Like in my mid-40s, I was saying to my wife and to my kids, just be prepared. When I turn 50, I do not want to party. I do not want a surprise. I don't want you to go out of your way to do anything special for me. I said, just be prepared that I'm going to want to book a cabin in the woods for like 2 weeks by myself and just reflect. Exactly. And just reflect on my life, where I'm at, where I've been, where I want to go. But I think the one thing about turning 50 is this. You know, when you're in your 20s, you feel like you're young, you know, you feel good, you feel young. And then all of a sudden you hit 30. When you hit 30, that's kind of shocking. You're like, wow, boy, I'm not in my teens anymore. I'm not in my 20s. I guess I need to be an adult now. I need to get my act together if I haven't already. And then you get to 40. When you get to 40, you're in your 40s and you're like, all right, you know, I've got kids, you know, I'm still relatively young, you know, whatever. When you hit 50, you cannot make the argument that you're relatively young anymore. It's just over. When you turn 50, you have to admit, I'm 50. I'm old. Life may be good after 50, but I can't lie to myself anymore. I am officially old now. So that's that, you know. So look at Cummings, man. You're a baby. You're 28 years old. I mean, for God's sakes, I think you could be my son, right? 53, 28. You're like a baby. Oh, Eric, 36, all these youngins in here. But you have to be impressed. You know, here I am, a borderline boomer, and I figured out how to podcast, you know, and do all these things. So I don't want to do video, though, because then you all have to look at me, and then I wouldn't want to wish that upon my worst enemy. But I don't know. So listen, I had some things I wanted to read. I thought these were kind of funny. You know, we're trying to keep it light today, not making every show about politics because that gets old after a while. But
that is true.
It does, you know, and I'm trying to get away from that in some shows so we don't just go in that direction. But I was looking up some weird news and I found some good stories that I thought were kind of funny. Now, I'm thinking that I might want to move to Oklahoma. I don't know if we have any Oklahoma people in the show or come into the show, but Oklahoma.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, you have like Texas friends like Nida and Laura and like Bryden SQ and Taz and Roman, his wife, and Roxanne and Jimmy.
A lot of good Texans. I get a lot of downloads from Texas. I think behind Massachusetts and New Hampshire, I think Texas is third on the number of downloads I get in the United States, ahead of California. So I get a lot of downloads from Texas. But this is kind of funny now. If I was in Texas, I'd have to make the trip to Oklahoma because an Oklahoma lawmaker wants to create an official Bigfoot hunting season coming up. This is honest to God news. It could soon be Sasquatch season in Oklahoma. All right, there's a whole video on it and everything, so I'm clicking on this story. So I can't see my screen right now if you're making comments. Okay, it says here, Bigfoot may not be real, but one lawmaker in Oklahoma wants to create a hunting season for him anyway. Now, who's to say he isn't real? I think he could be real. I just haven't seen Bigfoot, but I see no reason why Bigfoot could not exist. So anyway, moving back to the story, they don't plan on actually shooting the Sasquatch. I want to be really clear that we're not going to kill Bigfoot. Then why do they call it hunting season for Bigfoot? The Republican, so there's a Republican, Justin Humphrey, who's behind the bill. We're going to trap. Sorry, I can't not laugh. We're going to trap a live Bigfoot. We are not promoting killing Bigfoot. We are promoting hunting Bigfoot, trying to find evidence of Bigfoot. So there's actually in Oklahoma going to be an actual hunting season for Bigfoot where they're looking to capture Bigfoot to prove that Bigfoot actually exists. And this was put forth by a state representative by the name of Jason Humphrey. Jason, I don't know who you are. Jason, I don't know what you're about, but you just completely earned my respect that you're willing to put yourself out there to have an actual hunting day for Bigfoot in the state of Oklahoma. So what do you think, Eric? Does Bigfoot exist, or is that just one of those things where it's crazy?
I guess that really depends on who you ask, but I guess the question is, is Oklahoma where Bigfoot lives, or does Bigfoot live in Colorado or Wyoming or in Montana? I mean, he would have to live in the wilderness if he truly exists, or are they trying to capture Bigfoot so they can put him in a zoo or something?
Well, see, now my kids have made the argument when I go to the beach with my children and I take my shirt off, I tend to be a relatively hairy guy, and they make the case that I'm either Bigfoot or the missing link. So I'm not sure which I am, but they kind of make that case that when they see me with my shirt off, that Bigfoot does exist. So it could be true. But Oklahoma, man, if there's going to be a Bigfoot hunting season, I'm taking a vacation to Oklahoma, and I am going to hunt for Bigfoot. But you're right. I don't know. I mean, is Bigfoot just only in Oklahoma? I would think, I've heard a lot about Bigfoot being in the Pacific Northwest. Maybe we can ask the old man if he's had.
Or could Bigfoot be living in Canada? But I don't know whether any of our Canadian friends like Tony or Glenn or Cha-Cha would be able to tell us.
All right, here's another story. This one I don't like. I'm not a fan of this story at all. Now, we were just talking about, summer, going on vacation. I love my time at the lake. I love my summer activities. I love going to baseball games. And yes, I love ice cream. Okay, I'm an ice cream fan. Oh, man, I don't even know what my favorite flavor is. There's so many good ice creams. We have so many places around our house where you can go and have like literally 100 different flavors of ice cream. And there's so many good flavors. I think one of my favorites is probably mint chocolate chip. I enjoy that a lot. But I'm seeing a story from northeastern China that ice cream in northeastern China has tested positive for COVID-19. Please don't say this is true. You cannot take away ice cream for me. That is one of my greatest pleasures in life is ice cream. And oh my God. So ice cream testing positive in northeastern China for COVID-19. My question is, what in the heck are you guys doing in China where you're allowing your ice cream to be infected with COVID-19? So Eric, are you a big ice cream fan, man? I love ice cream. What am
I like to eat ice cream, but the only ice cream I will not eat is Ben & Jerry's brand, but we're not going to go into detail because of the political nature.
Okay, no, well, again, I'm pretty familiar with Ben & Jerry's. They are based in Vermont. My house is actually, I'm in central Massachusetts, so I'm directly south of Vermont. So you have some they're very, they're a very left-leaning company. And I honestly don't eat a lot.
They have said, I feel like they've said a lot of things that are very out of line too. Yeah. Because, like you would think, do they have any idea that what they're saying? Yes, that you might have people that like being told what they want to hear, but then you have people who would be like, do I really need to hear that?
I know. Now, I assume you've probably never been to Vermont. I've been to Vermont a few times.
Well, Dose lives there.
Yeah, Vermont is a different type of state. I mean, Vermont, the state that Bernie Sanders is from, and I'm not going to get political. That's not where I'm going. But, Bernie Sanders lives in Vermont. Vermont is a strange state where in the state itself, they basically don't have any restaurant chains. So in the state of Vermont, you'd be hard pressed to find a McDonald's, a Burger King, any of those type of places. They believe in mom and pop type of companies. I mean, you do have chains, but not nearly as many as you have in other states. And it's very much like a hippie, earthy, crunchy, Grateful Dead type of people overall that live in Vermont. So it's definitely a different type of place. Like, New Hampshire is a very conservative state. Maine, there's a balance between conservatism and liberalism. In Massachusetts, it's a lot more liberal. In Vermont, it's I wouldn't even say it's liberal. It's just different. I don't even know how to classify this, So
I doubt you'd find Subways there, and I doubt you'd find Chick-fil-A's there.
It's a weird state in that way. So it's I don't know. It's very different than a lot of other states in the country. I mean, it's a beautiful state. I mean, the mountains are absolutely beautiful. You don't have a lot of lakes, but I mean, the skiing is great in Vermont. The hiking is great. It's an absolutely beautiful state, but it's just a very different type of place. Maybe I've never been there. Maybe kind of like in Oregon. I think Oregon's maybe a little bit that way also, where it's a little bit different type of state. That's kind of how Vermont is. So, with Ben & Jerry's, they're very typical of that state. And I would say that I've never not eaten their ice cream because of the political aspect of it. I just think it's expensive. And we have a lot of little local places that, make ice cream, and that's kind of where we get it. So anyway, it's about 12 o'clock. I'm going to have to go soon because I have to get out to my appointment at 1 o'clock, but I don't know if anybody saw this story.
So you'll probably be wrapping up sometime around 12:15, 12:30.
Yeah, probably about 15 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes. So I'm going to read a couple more stories. We'll chat a little bit more, and then I'll get on my way for today's show. But did you see in Queens, New York, there was a report of an angry squirrel that was aggressively attacking residents of Queens. So one victim described this nutty squirrel attack as literally an MMA cage fight, and she lost. And I'm watching the video. There's literally like blood all over the ground. So I'm not sure exactly what happened. They're showing the woman's hand. She's got like scars and cuts and everything all over her hand. And she's saying that the squirrel attacked her, and she was literally wrestling in the snow on the ground, rolling around with this squirrel. as an attacker. I mean, first of all, how big was the squirrel? If I'm attacked by a squirrel, I'm going to throw it. I'm going to toss it someplace. But this woman literally got attacked, and it turned into like an MMA cage match where she was rolling around on the ground with a squirrel. I wish I had a videotape to kind of get that on video. I mean, I've never heard anything like that before. I mean, first of all, we had a while back, you had chickens that were attacking people in the McDonald's parking lot. And now in Queens, New York, you've got a squirrel that's attacking people. I don't know, maybe the zombie apocalypse is around the corner. I'm not sure what's happening out there with the animals attacking people. But have you ever been attacked by a squirrel, Eric, or anything? Have you ever heard that before?
Never been attacked by a squirrel. But I don't know if anybody else has.
Well, what happened to my daughter? My daughter, Caitlin, as you know, is a big, animal person. And I think it was last summer, she was walking in the woods, and she literally did have a little baby squirrel that ran right up to her and literally ran up her leg and ended up on her shoulder. And you can imagine if you're in the woods and you have a squirrel run up your body, it was kind of scary at first. But we realized that, she ended up bringing it home with her, and we put it in a box, and we called like a local animal rescue place. And they were saying that if a baby squirrel runs up to you in that manner, and if they try to climb on you, then that means that most likely, I just saw Dennis Lee's comment, it made me laugh. But if a squirrel runs onto your body, then that most likely means their mother was killed, or they're lost from their mother and they're looking for help. So, my daughter did have a squirrel run up her body. We took it to a shelter, and this woman literally had like 100 baby squirrels that she was all nursing back to health, and she was going to release out into the wild. So we did have kind of like a little mini brush with a squirrel, but nothing where, anybody in my family was attacked by a squirrel like we're seeing here. And you're right, Dennis Lee, there's nothing worse than an angry cock. That's absolutely true. And I think all of you are familiar with, we've had chickens in my house for the last year. We have, 12 chickens now. We got 3 new chicks over the winter, and we have one of our hens is obviously a rooster, because the last week and a half, he's been doing the old cock-a-doodle-doodle thing in the house, waking us up at like 6 a.m. So we're starting to give him away,
And I even saw like a weird story online of a mother cat nursing some baby hedgehogs, and I was like, that's interesting.
Wow.
Because I think the baby hedgehogs, that we don't know what happened to the mother of those actual hedgehogs, but I mean, I think it's very rare for a cat to nurse babies that are not even her kittens.
Oh, it's so true. And if you look at, I see Chris saying he's got chickens also. What kind of gets me is, we have 2 dogs, we have a cat, and it amazed me how well the rest of our animals have kind of adapted to our chickens, because we live in a neighborhood. We don't live like in the optimum place to have chickens, but we have like a acre and a half of land. So we don't have like a huge amount of land, but we have a decent amount. But our dogs literally watch the chickens. They kind of corral them because we let our chickens free range. And even the cat kind of watches the chickens, doesn't attack them. But the animals all realize that these chickens are kind of part of our pack, and they don't hurt them, which is kind of cool. Like literally our dog, Molly, will go around and she will corral them and make sure they stay in the yard and they're every place they have to be. But I'll tell you, Chris, I'm not sure if you're there right now, but we have, I think it's 9 of our chickens right now are laying eggs, and we're supplementing the darkness with like a contractor's spotlight out by our chicken coop. So we put the chickens back in as it gets dark, probably, 4:30 in the afternoon, and we turn on these spotlights and we shine them into the coop. We had gotten, some tips that maybe that'll help the chickens lay eggs over the winter. We've been getting 9 to 10 eggs every day through the whole winter. We literally on top of the refrigerator right now have like a good 70 eggs up there. We've been giving them away to neighbors, a dozen to one neighbor, a dozen to the other neighbor, and we just cannot keep on top of it. We've been eating omelets. We've been eating everything we can with eggs, and we have so many eggs right now from the 9 chickens. We just can't keep up. So it's pretty amazing, how many eggs they actually lay, and the fact that they're actually laying them right through the winter, because we didn't expect that, so things I'm learning because of COVID, all my COVID things that I've gone through, we started a garden, I started a podcast, we have chickens now. My life's changed a lot in the last year, but we'll see what happens as things get back to normal. So Eric, do you want to give everybody a list of what's going on, and then we'll wrap up this bad boy?
Well, I know, like Just Another Day in Paradise show is live right now here, like on Podbean and over on YouTube. So, definitely check out their show because you might enjoy Joy Steve and his wife, and and Mr. A is also very good friends with that show, along with Bob Ramu and a few others. And then also be on the lookout for Wolf's Real Talk Radio and Comics is Culture on Podbean and VOP. And I assume if Chuck and Billy are not just doing their shows on Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, we could probably be seeing and hearing from them weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. But hopefully we'll get an absolute confirmation on that. And then Slightly Serious, he's on tonight at 9:30 Eastern Time. And I believe Chris will follow with his music show. And of course, tomorrow, Wednesday, Ralph at 6 a.m. Eastern, Chit Chat with the Old Man at 10 a.m. Eastern. And of course, I know you'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern for a Wednesday show. And then Wednesday night at 11 p.m. is Trice Talk as we celebrate Dennis's birthday. And later in the week, be on lookout for David to do Mysteries of the Paranormal and Poetic to do The Holy Shift and Tall Tales in the Rabbit Hole and Lyrical Laxatives over the weekend.
Nice. A lot of good shows on Podbean, a lot of good shows on the VOP Empire. I want to thank everybody for joining my show today. It was kind of a pop-up show that wasn't planned. And unfortunately, I had to start a little bit early, and I got to end it a little bit early. But I've enjoyed the show today, just kind of keeping it light today. Got another show coming up tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully you join us. And again, I'll tell you, over the weekends, I've kind of enjoyed doing the Saturday and Sunday morning shows. I end up getting a lot of people coming into my shows on Saturday morning. I think Sunday I had like 150 people that came into my show, and that's a pretty good number for my show. So I was kind of impressed with that. So I'm going to probably keep doing some of the weekend shows also, because I kind of enjoy doing that. I don't have to worry about work and all that good stuff. But for everybody out there, enjoy your day today. Try to keep it light. We're in January, almost into February, so we're getting past those winter months. And if you can, try to do something nice for somebody else today. If you get a chance, pay something forward, buy somebody a coffee, hold the door, do something nice for somebody else to make someone else feel good. And hopefully we can create kind of a chain reaction across the country of different people just doing kind acts for other people. So, Eric, thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you tomorrow.
Well, look forward to it. Love you. God bless you, everybody. Take care.
And thanks for the gifts, everybody. Take care and have a great day. Thank you, everybody. Now you're going to go? And Mom can't go, but kids can go. What? You get to see if you like this place.